mine too. And I have my cozy blanket.
Okay.
Well, I need my cozy blanket. Welcome back to Shunned for Good Reason. I'm Anna.
And I'm not selfish. I mean, I'm Tess.
That was a VeggieTales joke for those of you who missed it.
I can't believe we didn't talk about that one in the VeggieTales episode.
That was a cute one.
And I want to say it almost every time you say I'm Anna. I'm not selfish.
Because that was from the Selfishness episode of VeggieTales.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And we are back talking about where are we
People.
now and how did we get here. We're not talking about people being selfish, Tess.
Oh.
That is VeggieTales.
Oh.
This is Shunned for Good Reason. They're different things.
We could at least gossip about people.
We could probably gossip about people. What do you want to gossip about?
I don't know.
Do you know anybody worth gossiping about?
I get that.
I mean,
No,
I could
it's a
probably
trap.
gossip about people, but that would be a HIPAA violation.
Those angry hippos.
You can't anger the hippos, Tess. It will go poorly.
Don't anger the hippos.
That's part of my compliance education for every new job I have now is whether or not I'm angering the hippos.
Aren't hippos responsible for like a ridiculous number of human deaths every year?
That sounds right. We should figure out how many I'm going to ask Google.
Because I know it's
How many
more than sharks.
human
That's
deaths
what I know.
are due to mosquitoes, cats, orcas, mirtazapine?
Martazapine? I don't even know what that is.
It's a medication test. Hippos are responsible for an estimated 500 to 3,000 human deaths each year.
Holy cow!
What the heck?
I knew it was a lot.
Capsized
Don't mess with
boats,
hippos, man.
trapping people on land between a hippo and its natural habitat.
Who trapped who?
The hippo accidentally trapped the human between themselves and the water
Oh.
and then tramples them
Oh.
in apparent self-defense.
Woo.
Well,
I
the
feel like
Discover
that
Wildlife
leaves
platform.
no responsibility on the human, which sounds incorrect.
I don't know. I mean, if you're going for a lovely hike and you happen to go by a body of water, you're not necessarily going to be checking all of the woods for hippos before you go near the water.
Yeah, I
Like,
suppose.
there's a search grid there that I just don't think is tenable for one person on a midnight stroll.
Through Hippo Land.
Well, the Discover Wildlife platform reports a baseline of around 500 annual fatalities. Exact tracking across rural Africa is notoriously difficult to verify.
Notoriously.
Now you know.
Don't watch out for those midnight walks in Hippo Land.
But the number one killer of humans is the mosquito,
What?
responsible for
What?
roughly 750,000 to 1 million deaths per year.
What? This I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
This is why
This
people
is
listen
why
to
I
podcasts.
don't like mosquitoes. They act as a disease vector, spreading devastating illnesses such as malaria, dengue, yellow fever, Zika, and West Nile.
Wow.
And that's from the CDC.
Number one animal killer of humans is the mosquito.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that says there's a moral in there somewhere.
The
I
moral is bite people.
But...
And hum annoyingly.
Annoying.
Did I sound like a mosquito?
That was pretty good.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then you will be at the
Well-
top of Google searches? Is that the goal?
Well, I thought you were trying to learn how to be more like a mosquito.
Oh! That would be more like a mosquito. I was not necessarily going for more like a mosquito and just
Oh.
generally thinking of lessons we could apply to life owing to this very, very small creature being the creature
Protector.
most responsible for human deaths every year. Especially compared to, like, you compare the size of a mosquito to the size of a hippo. It's funny how people freak out about things based on size when that really usually has nothing to do with how much they should be freaking out.
I don't know. See, I grew up in the Amazon basin, and I've cried a lot more over mosquitoes than I ever have over hippos.
Yeah.
And I feel very justified right now, actually.
For sure. But take that, and you have, so your experience is very aligned with this reality of mosquitoes being deadly.
Yes, because I've had yellow fever and malaria.
Right. So you see, you have way too much experience with this. But on my side of things, it was, mosquitoes would make you itch, and people spent...
Make you sneeze, make you twitch.
Yeah, something like that. And so, growing up, going and people trying to teach me about being in the mountains and stuff, what everybody was always going on and on about was bears. Right? And do you know how many bears I've encountered in my lifetime? It's not many. I think I've seen in real life, outside of a zoo, 2 bears. And they were both a long, long ways from me. So far away from me that it was almost not worth mentioning. But boy, did people go on and on about watching out for bears and carrying bear spray and making noise when you're traveling in groups. And when you see a black bear, you get real big. And when you see a brown bear, you pretend like you're dead. And preferably bring a friend who you can run faster than. And you don't like too much.
Yeah. But nobody ever told you to make yourself real big or play dead around mosquitoes.
That's right. They're like, try and put on this deep stuff. Good luck.
Mosquitoes are deadly little truth seekers.
Truth seekers.
Yeah, they know if you're pretending to be bigger than you are,
Oh.
pretending to be dead. You can't hide from a mosquito.
Can't hide from a mosquito. Anyway, this conversation went places nobody saw coming.
Well, that's probably because we're tired.
Yeah, that sounds right.
We went hiking today. It's been a long time since we actually got a decent hike in.
Yeah?
Because Tess broke her foot, and then one of the children broke their foot.
Yeah.
And I'm just working all the time.
All the time.
But we finally got back up to the Craigs today, which is...
Backside of Pikes Peak.
Yeah, backside of Pikes Peak. One of the Pikes Peak trails goes through part of the Craigs Trail. So it wasn't huge. It's just like 5 miles in and back.
Yeah.
About 960 feet of gain.
Our
Is what
watches
my watch
measure
told me.
different things. Mine said like 1,116 feet of gain.
Well, maybe you're taller.
I don't think I'm that much taller.
Maybe you're taller by like 200 feet. You don't know.
We went to the same place. Why
Did
are
you go
they
to the
so
same
off?
place? No, I don't know. Mine does say I've done 109 flights of stairs today.
No, mine doesn't tell me about flights of stairs. Anna's watch is fancier. Hers is probably right. Mine's been doing weird things. Like, my mile has gotten shorter.
Oh, weird.
Like, we know, we have very regularly tracked a mile from our house to the bridge. And it's not quite to the bridge, right? But it's a little before the bridge. And that was pretty consistent for a while, but now mine's like backed up a little bit.
Mine does that off and on, but once I updated, it got back on track. So maybe you should try that.
Mine did update recently. I don't think I've tried it since it.
They're probably going to have a new update for you soon then.
Anyway. We're tired.
We're tired. It really wasn't bad, but
No.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
But we are finally wrapping up our Where Are We Now and How Did We Get Here? Not that kind of wrapping, please don't even try.
would be wrapping down.
Oh no. But we're going to be
Dark place.
talking about resilience and the ongoing rebuilding of your personal faith, or rebuilding without a blueprint. So the question here is, where are you now? Where are you actually? Not where were you taught to be?
I'm in this chair.
You are in this chair.
I was not taught to be in this chair.
Oh my god.
What?
So that question comes out because a lot of people who are transitioning away from their cultures or their faith base, there's an assumption that leaving those things has to do with losing the structure that they gave you, losing the identity that you were given, being within them, losing the morality that they provided you with, and losing the meaning behind life, since you no longer have that structure to fall back on. And the goal, of course, in leaving is not losing self, but rebuilding oneself in a way that you can be more ethically inclined to do.
Yeah, but it feels like that a lot of times. Because it's like all you know, if that's what you grew up with, and dedicated your life to, and which is the case a lot of the time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And the whole shunning process definitely feels like, especially at the beginning, and it keeps feeling that way, but you're losing stuff.
Well, and I feel like that was a little bit more excessive for us than it was for a lot of people, because some people in a faith community who decide to leave that faith community have friends or family or a way of life that is outside of that. But everyone we knew, everyone that we were related to, and our entire means of income and meaning base was based on this religious reality that we could no longer be a part of. So while some people may have things to fall back on, we lost family, job, house, every source of income that we had at the time. And it was a very shocking change.
Yeah.
In addition to,
Well,
our minds, our sense of morality and justification and meaning in the world.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things there, because we generally did lose things, like, and that's, right, like you said, the jobs and the connections and those are things that we actually did lose, that we had to find new things to replace them. And but then on the other hand, like the morality thing, I feel like, from my perspective, I never really felt totally lost, or like I really lost something on that front, because we started several years before we actually lost the house and the job and all that stuff. We started to kind of rebuild our framework for understanding the world, right? And what ethics were, and what right and wrong were, and what our base for that was, which is why we had to leave. That's because we rebuilt this thing, and ended up in a totally different place. That meant we had to leave the church, which is like that. But that's how I see it going down for us. Was we didn't really lose something so much as we built it, and because we built it, and then we lost a lot of things.
Yes, it did mean the loss of a lot of things. I do feel that it also led to a certain kind of resilience that was non-determined by those things that were around us.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the resilience that you grow up with in the faith community relies on those religious things you can fall back on.
Yeah.
No matter what, God is good. No matter what, the church is going to have your back. No matter what, you're always going to have a place to go because you have this church family, this faith family who believe all the same things that you do and always will, and you can fall back on that.
Yeah.
And your resilience is based on that community support that you have instead of on an internal locus of control, which is where we had to pivot over to in order to actually get to the leaving part in the first place.
No, for sure. Well, I don't know, I didn't realize how much everything I thought and did in a lot of cases was so reliant on these systems I was born into. And it's a lot, right? Like so many of my decisions growing up and going to college and I don't know about getting married, but a lot of decisions post getting married, for sure, were so guided by, like, not necessarily what I thought was a good idea, but what I was told to think was a good idea. Like, I don't know. It's a good example. Having kids is a great example for me.
That is a good example.
Like prior to having kids, and we've talked about this a little bit, like we had talked about having kids.
Right.
But even then, this is prior to having kids, we did talk about it a bit. But even in those conversations, what I know now, retrospect, is that all of my talking points were just the script. I was just living this script of what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have kids, you're supposed to
immediately.
Right, yeah, basically, and then you train up those kids in the ways of the Lord or something like that. And
you're training up a child in the way they should go, so
that's
when they were old, they will not depart from it.
That's the one.
Yes.
And it's better remembering these things. I knew it flowed better than what I was saying, but anyway, yeah, and like but the truth is, I hadn't really thought about like what I want as a person and what I think should happen, and it was just this script I had, and I thought, and it was true and right, so that's what we should do, and that sounds good.
There wasn't a space for what you do and what you think and what you want. It was the script, and that's the only thing that you're allowed to do.
100%. Yeah, there wasn't even. Yeah, it was just that's the way it is, and I as we had kids and post having, now that we are raising kids, I've had a lot of moments of it might have been helpful to think about this beforehand. And it's worked out, but
it has, but also it's one of those things that's designed to get you stuck.
Yeah.
Like the only going to the churches and schools that you're allowed to, the only going to colleges that you're allowed to, the only dating and or marrying people that you are allowed to, those pre-scripted things that you're supposed to do. And then having children early, having them young, having them as soon as you get married, and having as many as possible is all part of that locus of control that has to fall back on the church again and again.
Yeah.
Because you don't have, in our case, you don't have a job, you don't have a place to be, you don't have anything outside of that. But as long as you're in the church, they are making sure that you buy in, and that you buy in harder and harder and harder to the part where you're married at 21, 22 and have 5 children by the time you're 27, and you're stuck, and there's nowhere you can
Or at least it feels that way.
So you have to stay there and pay 10% of your income.
Yeah. To the church.
To the church.
Yeah.
For the rest of your days, and then all of those children will also pay 10% of their income to the church for the rest of their days. It's a very powerful form of control and manipulation, where there is no space for financial independence or thought independence, and no excuse ever to question the locus of control or the arbiters of truth. So the elders of your church or missions agency.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's just like, it's supposed to be this nice fairy tale story script, essentially. At least that's how I viewed it for sure.
Yeah.
When I was younger, right? Like it's you follow God's will, you do what He wants, you read the Bible, you pray, you go to church, you tell people about Jesus.
And then God
You
rewards
have
you
a
with
family and kids.
food and family
Yeah.
and a place to live.
Yeah. And then you live life telling people about Jesus and raising your kids and being a good person in theory. And then you go to heaven.
And all the people that you didn't like don't.
Right. No, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about those people. They are sinners, Anna. We don't talk about the bad news people.
Those are bad news people.
Yeah,
But
they are
when you step out of this,
ruining my fairy tale story.
yeah, when
Sorry.
you step out of the fairy tale story, though, you end up with grief, even though you haven't necessarily clearly lost anything, because it's not like our house burnt down. It's not like we were technically laid off. It's not like our family are dead.
Right.
There's no obvious reason.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are. But there's no obvious reason that you have experienced a great loss and now you're experiencing grief. There's anger that you've been lied to, but there's no single target because everyone was a victim of the system.
Yeah.
Your parents aren't necessarily to blame. Your
Right.
church itself isn't necessarily to blame.
That's the worst. One of the worst ones for me.
Yeah.
Like just because like I want to blame somebody.
Yeah.
Specifically, right? Like.
Well, because you have that
But-
anger, and anger
Yeah.
feels better if you've got somebody to roll it over onto. Like
Yeah.
that person right there. That's the one that's responsible for everything bad that ever happened to me. And
Right.
you can't point to one person.
No.
Because when you start pointing to those people, sometimes they've also deconstructed and now they're just like, oh shoot, I did a lot of bad things in here too, and I don't even know how to start fixing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about it a lot over the years. Just the fact that like both sets of our parents, at the very least, it's more than that, but we know that both sets of our parents were very sincere in
Oh,
their
yes.
beliefs, right? Like it was not a, I don't know, a gotcha experiment for them, right? It was a sincere belief, and it's hard to fault somebody for a sincere belief, right?
It is.
Like it's just that's what they believed. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Well, and they're still sincerely following those beliefs.
Right. Yeah. To this day,
And,
that's
yeah.
the thing.
They're trying to do their best.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And that's all they can do.
Right. And it's just frustrating as all get out.
Yeah.
But-
And
But I
then
can't be angry at them
You
for
can't.
being sincere. Like, I mean, I am sometimes, but. I... It's not a justified anger.
It's not a justified anger. Well, and then there's a confusion about identity because your identity was church and mission and
Oh, yeah.
bringing God to the nations. So
Male.
What? Yeah.
In my case.
Yeah. Male or mother or
Right, yeah.
identity is
The roles, man.
what they have told you to do and the role that they have told you that you're allowed to
Yeah.
fulfill. And
Yeah.
when you start stepping outside of that, it can be difficult to find out where you actually belong and what your role actually is and how to fulfill it.
Yeah.
Because the 10 points on what you're allowed to say to your child as a father to a teenager are just, you can't go to Focus on the Family and find the 10 talking points that you're supposed to be using for whatever situation you happen to be in anymore.
It's the downside of going from a small world to this big wide world that we actually live in.
The scripts no longer apply.
Yeah. Well, and to me, it feels like, or felt like, having learned a part in a very specific play
Mm-hmm.
that I played over and over and over and over again. So I knew it pretty well, right? Like we did the same play every day. And so it's an analogy. Work with me. And so, you get familiar with doing the same part and the same lines and the same, time that the plot falls and tragedy, you just get used to it. And then stepping away from that's like, okay, now what do I do? That, and you like sometimes you just do the same lines because that's what you're used to, and all of a sudden it feels totally wrong and weird and.
Well, yeah, because suddenly you're playing the play where everything goes wrong when you're supposed to be doing the Scottish play. You're not supposed to say the name of the Scottish play by Shakespeare, Tess.
Oh.
It's a theater kid thing.
Oh. I wasn't a very good theater kid, apparently. I was a church theater kid. I don't know if that counts.
But essentially, you're doing the lines to Alice in Wonderland when you should be doing Peter Pan.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
Because Peter Pan starts looking around and trying to figure out where the blue caterpillar is because he's never seen it before.
Yeah. Everything is the blue caterpillar.
Everything is the blue caterpillar.
You.
They're both surprisingly good analogies for what it is to leave faith.
Yeah.
Then I know that we didn't experience anxiety about morality. Some people do, and everybody we left behind assumed that we would be having a lot of anxiety about morality.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
I've had exactly one conversation with one of my brothers since we left the church. So since 2019, I've spoken with this boy once. And all that he wanted to know was where I get truth and morality if the Bible's not there. And how I didn't see somebody T-boning my car as God saving me so that I could be a missionary again.
Wow. It's just such a specific way of looking at the world.
It's a very specific way of looking about the world.
Which we knew. And I think we did have the anxiety about morality. But it was, but again, before we actually stepped away from the church. Like I went through that moment of, oh crap, if that's not right, what is? Because
what we were doing didn't feel moral.
Yeah, right. With the realization that we'd spent so much of our lives being judgmental and angry at people who disagreed with us. That was a very confusing moment of like, if that's not right, that's what I've been learning at Bible school and church.
Is how to be angry at the right people for the moral reasons.
And home, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so now what? And I mean, we were kind of lucky, I think, in that moment of questioning, we automatically had this idea of charitable reading to kind of guide us out of that, where it was like, well, the answer is view other humans from a position of love, right? That's which, and it's a very simple sentence, but I think it really guided our thought processes.
Well, and a lot of that had to come naturally because the idea behind our morality and our religion at that point, the script had always been, well, God wants us to love people. Are you loving people? This is how you love people well. Yeah. But when we looked around at what we were doing, people did not feel like they were being loved.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was a problem.
Well, not only did they not feel like it, but when I went back and thought about it from, did I try to understand this person before I was angry at them? And the answer was always no. Like, I didn't do hardly anything to try to understand this person and where they were coming from. I just knew where I was coming from was right, and they needed to know that.
Well,
and get on my side.
And then
so
the
that they could
question
go to heaven.
was,
Slash
if
be right.
I'm not trying to understand them, am I loving them?
Right.
Because when I think of someone loving, excuse me, when I think of somebody trying to love me and do it well, one of the first steps is trying to understand me and where I'm coming from and why I feel what I feel and
Yep.
how to take care of me in a way that makes me feel taken care of.
Yep. Yeah, it's
But our religion taught us never to do
crucial.
that with someone outside the religion.
Oh, for sure. Which was always, that was a confusing thing for me for a long time as I was pastoring.
Yeah.
And trying to sort through this. You're not supposed to be associated with sinners, but you also have to like witness to them somehow.
Well, and you have to go to the prisons and their thrift stores, so to both sinners and poor people.
Yeah. So much drama there.
Oh, so much
But it was,
drama.
no, it was confusing. It was, and I had struggled with that for a long time. But
Yeah.
even before that was old thing I struggled with. But yeah, but that seeking to understand people and love them from that point, really, that was our kind of guiding point for morality after
Yeah.
that realization.
Which means we didn't have any anxiety about losing morality while leaving the church.
Nope, wasn't worried about
The
that at all.
morality is what brought us to leave the church.
That's exactly it. We wouldn't have left if
We
it
would
wasn't
not.
for that. No, there's nothing that would have. I can't think of another thing that would have derailed us. I don't know. You never know, but
I can't think of anything either.
it
But
would
that
have been
was
highly unlikely.
that's all it takes though, is training yourself to live a moral life to the best of your ability, and then following that through to its logical conclusion. The logical conclusion in this case being, I cannot be involved in such an immoral
Right.
way of being.
Well, because our locus for morality had been the Bible, essentially,
Yes.
and our traditions, right, that we were given. And I think, and what was so nice about, like, our realization of coming, or approaching the topic from a place of loving others, is it was such a simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, compared to, here's the Bible. Right? Like, the Bible is a lot.
Yeah.
Right? It's long, it's obfuscated, it's old. Right? It's a, not straightforward.
Yeah.
Is what I'll go with. At least from my perspective. Maybe somebody out there thinks it is, but I don't think it is. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, reading it, studying it. But as opposed to this really clear, simple idea of loving others that really, I think, allowed us to take that locus from this kind of obfuscated thing and very simply bring it into our own selves, beings. I don't know.
Yeah. I think something else that really helped there was,
That sentence was anticlimactic.
it's fine, was the couples counseling sort of things that we've been a part of and kept reading, because when we were getting into this whole marriage thing, the idea behind it was essentially biblical. Love your spouse as Jesus loved the church and gave himself up for it. books that we ended up reading, Bible studies that we ended up doing, studies that we ended up doing specifically from scripture, and then additionally the 5 love languages concept, where does it really matter if you love someone if they don't feel that you love them? Because you can do a million things for somebody to show them that you love them. But if that's not how they understand love, if that's not what makes them feel valued as a person, you're not actually communicating love to them properly. Which flashes back on evangelicalism, which says the most loving person you can do for somebody is scream to them that they're going to hell if they don't believe the same things that you believe.
Yeah. It
doesn't matter how right you are. If you're not making that person feel loved, then they are not being loved.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah, and that, well, and, oh, I lost my train of thought. Well, and I think it was interesting how there were pieces of this, in the Bible and in evangelicalism that we were able to, like, hold on to as we were walking out, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And, because we weren't trying to leave. We were trying to stay.
Yes.
Like, we really did try to stay.
We were trying to stay and hopefully fix it all.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Wow, that was a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago.
I forget about it sometimes.
But
it's true. That's what we were thinking.
The intention was make people feel more loved and be better at connecting, and hence better at following Christ, because that was Christ's idea for it. So,
yeah.
Hence, we had no anxiety about leaving morality.
No.
Leaving the church. We were chasing morality.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
When we had to leave the church.
I'm sure that I'm trying to think of is there other ways people walk out of it? I guess, like, maybe realizations of identity are probably.
Yeah, that's probably
one of the other big ones.
That's a very understandable one for people. If you're going to lose your social connection to people if they find out who you really are, socially, financially, sexually.
Yeah.
Just that fear of being understood, and that understanding causing a disconnect between you and your social network.
Yeah. So being gay and being afraid they're going to find out you're gay.
Being gay or being trans or losing a job that was giving income to the church, or any of those things.
Yeah.
Any of those things can cause that. But all of this leads to what is called meaning collapse, which means when you have based your entire life on one form of finding meaning, and suddenly that one form no longer makes sense and is antithetical to itself. You experience meaning collapse, and then you can no longer be involved with it.
Right.
It's not necessarily a failure of yourself, not a failure of the system. It's a transition that has to happen, or you will no longer be able to be ethically involved in the system that you were a part of.
And that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Or what it was for me, because, I mean, to this day, I feel like I'm still kind of sort of trying to remap that one in my life.
Yeah.
Remap meaning, as opposed to, because that was all figured out beforehand.
Yeah, you had a guidebook, you had a handbook.
Yeah.
And if you couldn't understand what it was saying in the Bible, you could just go on to the Focus on the Family website, and they gave you your 10 points, and you just follow those points, and everything should be fine, and God will bless you.
Yeah, that's what my parents always did.
So when these belief systems change, there are several things that destabilize themselves. First off, there's a cognitive then there's a moral, and then there's a social. So cognitive, you no longer know necessarily what is true, because what you have understood as being true is obviously not. There is a moral layer to it, because what people told you was good and pure and right, you no longer understand to be so. And then there's a social layer, of course, which is that this format has given you meaning and belonging and connection, and now you don't necessarily know where you belong anymore.
Yeah, I like. So weird. These ones are weird for me to think about, because I feel like part of walking away was also kind of realizing that I didn't actually have any of these. Not really. Like, I realized they were all pretty fake for me. Like, it was just like this weird, like, just very thin thing that I was holding on to, as far as what is true, what is good, where do I belong. I think the belong one's easier to explain, but quickly, because it was like, for years and years we would go to church, and it was again something we talked about, and I just always felt like our relationships with the people there were so fake, and it was multiple churches, right? Like, this was a long ongoing feeling that I had for sure.
Multiple churches, multiple states, multiple missions agencies, multiple groups.
Right. It wasn't
within churches, small churches,
multiple
big
denominations,
medium-sized churches.
Right. We had a significant exposure to lots of different versions of this Protestant Christianity thing, and in all of them, with very, very few exceptions. Well, I don't know. In all of them at church, for sure, it felt very superficial, the relationships did. And I think probably the moral and the cognitive stuff kind of, for me, the thinness of them kind of flowed out of that. Like, it just didn't feel real somehow.
And if it were real, there would be more to back it up.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't know. The moral layer probably went pretty deep. I guess, when I think about it, like, there was just, this is the way you do it, this is the way you don't do it.
Yeah.
That was kind of, beat into us as kids, I guess.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
So when you are leaving a system or a group that was safe in at least some way or familiar, often you will experience somatic problems, which is your nervous system essentially recalibrating, because you've trained your amygdala to feel fear or safety in specific situations or circumstances. And especially when we had trained ourselves so hard despite feeling so unsafe, it became very confusing to live in your own body, which is a big part of why a lot of people who have a past experience of high control religions have so many autoimmune and somatic disorders going on. Did you notice your somatic system doing weird shit after we left? So this is like sleep disturbances, intrusive thoughts, these gut reactions to something that you or one of the children or anybody else around you would do that triggered a guilt response suddenly and a desire to correct.
Oh yeah. The one that I remember, it's kind of a silly one, but I think it'll make the point, was watching movies with swear words in it.
Oh.
Remember that? I would literally jump, like, physically, a little bit when we were, like, with the kids watching movies with swear words in them.
Yeah.
For a while. There was at least a year there, maybe two, where, like, it was like this weird transition where we actually would watch movies that had swear words in it with the kids, but I was still like I was still guilty about it, like, it's just, you're not supposed to do that, it's wrong. And consciously I was telling myself, like this isn't as big of a deal as you're making it out to be. And it does really reflect that weird transition of, like, I know this is not a big deal, but it was such a big deal for so long, and so many things are that way. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, but again, like it was a physical response, and it wasn't even that I was hearing the swear word. It was that the kids were hearing the swear word, right? Like,
And you're supposed to be guarding their hearts and
yeah, this weird physical thing to that I knew somewhere in my bones that that wasn't right. Because that's what I've been taught and trained, and that applies to so many things. Like that's just kind of a little bit more silly example, but
yeah,
but it comes out in a lot of ways.
it does.
And I think the more painful ways are like the internalized homophobia and internalized transphobia, and where you were just trained to think of those things as weird and scary and gross or and bad in general, and it takes a while to like recognize that for what it is.
It does.
And I mean, and to this day, like some days I know my dysphoria is just transphobia, like internalized transphobia, which is sad, right? Like it's not every day, but just some days. And it's nice when I can be like, oh, that's stupid. I don't need to.
I think
I don't need to live with that.
Mine,
which is reassuring,
rolls
but
over to seeing people in public, because such a big part of how I was raised and how we were supposed to live was that you need to make sure that at every single moment, if somebody accidentally looked in your window or found you on the street, nothing about what you were doing or what you looked like or how you were acting could ever be understood, even very much misunderstood, as something that God would not approve of.
Yeah.
So when I see somebody that I know at the grocery store or at the Pride Parade or on the street, it terrifies me to recognize a face, which is probably partially why I have such face blindness now, because I have to think back over everything that I've done that day to see, like, if they have been following me, did I walk in front of somebody that I wasn't supposed to? Were they offended by something that I said when I didn't know they were listening? And that would just be like swear words. Not because I'm being
right
about anything, just because what if they heard a swear word and that was like their trigger and they would never go to heaven now because they heard somebody else say a swear word.
Heard a swear word. If you
But
think swear words are sending people to hell, come talk to me. Okay.
I'll swear after you'll cover.
Yeah.
But,
or you could come hang out at my place of work and you could listen to lots of people swear and learn to laugh about it. Okay.
Yeah. But essentially, these are all things where you trained your body to associate a wrong belief or a wrong word with danger, spiritual danger.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to retrain your body out of that fear and that moral certainty that caused you somatic or autoimmune disorders.
My guess is I still have some work to do in this area. Just like, because you just been plowing through life and surviving and figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one that like, just like dealing with my body's somatic response. There's just so many things. It's such a long list. Like I could never even begin to list the things.
Yeah.
Because it encompasses your whole life and the way you were taught about everything, how you talk, sex, raising kids.
Well, I even see this in
school.
driving.
Driving, yeah.
If somebody cuts me off or makes a mean facial expression at me or flips me off, or if I notice that I've been in the left lane and somebody's been going slightly faster than me, I panic, like full on panic, because I have caused someone else moral distress and now it's my fault that they're going to hell and I'm the worst person in the whole world, which is why I now listen to podcasts very loudly when I have to drive alone. it's just that automatic somatic panic that you experience from trying to reframe your entire body around things
Right.
no longer being dangerous that were dangerous.
Yeah. Well, and it was dangerous, right? Like, because it's the
yes.
repercussions were eternal,
and also they were very physical and very immediate, because if you did something wrong, your parents would lose their ministry.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And all of their income when you were a missionary or a pastor.
Yeah.
And you couldn't let your children misbehave ever, because if your children misbehaved, it showed that your house wasn't taken care of appropriately and it wasn't spiritually blessed, and then you weren't fit to be a pastor, and then you lost your job and all of your income.
Right, that's no big deal.
No big deal. It's just every single action or word that you ever make or speak has eternal consequences and immediate physical consequences.
And that may not have been the full reality, but that's how it was presented in what our bodies felt.
Yes.
Right? Like, I imagine, I don't know, what am I going to say? Well, again, we weren't taught to think about these things from a point of understanding other people and where they're at, right? We were just taught this is the way it is.
Yeah.
Right?
And that everyone else was judging you as harshly as we're teaching you to judge people.
Which I don't think was remotely the case in, probably 99% of the cases.
Right.
Right? Like
the cognitive conditioning was towards danger and not towards safety.
Yeah. And it really makes which makes it hard to approach humans from a place of love and understanding when you're just scared of them. And your body's scared of them. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so backwards.
It is.
So backwards.
Well, you don't get to be human.
Yeah, it's wild. I forget how messed up this
It is.
But it was, and that's why people, that's why churches aren't growing. Republicans are scared of immigrants. It has major repercussions. That's all I'm trying to say.
It does. So one of the helpful things that we can get through, because we did talk about the cognitive conditioning. So one of our more popular therapy modalities these days is CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, which is essentially what we were doing then poorly.
It's not CBD, just to be clear.
No, it's not.
CBT
it's not cannabis.
With a T.
It is cognitive behavioral therapy.
Or T.
Therapy.
Therapy. Yes.
Therapy. Yes. Not therapy. Therapy.
Yes. Sorry.
But that cognitive conditioning can go both ways. So it can condition you to be terrified and view everything as danger. It can also help you, if you do it correctly, separate your thoughts from your feelings from what are the actual facts of the situation. Chances are, if somebody flipped me off in traffic, they're having a bad day and I was there. It's probably not that I was the 13th reason in their descent to hell. And everything about their life is worse because of me. And
that's
I
just
don't
how you
deserve
felt.
to be human. Yeah, exactly.
Feelings are not facts.
Feelings are not facts.
Which is really hard to remember when you're feeling something strong.
It is. Yeah. So the thought, I am wrong for having left my religion, produces the feeling of anxiety or shame or fear of what that will be. When the fact is, I changed my worldview and my physical circumstances based on new information and appropriately contextualized information. Very different.
Yeah. Then, oh, I'm a terrible person.
I'm a terrible person and everybody's going to hell because of me.
Right, but like, it doesn't have to be they're going to hell. Like, it could be, like, that may be your, like, initial reaction because that's what you're used to thinking. But then, like, I know I can also just think, like, sometimes I have the thought or feeling that will have the thought that like I'm just causing my family pain by being myself right now.
Yeah.
Right. And that can bring guilt and shame and feeling those feelings. And but the fact, the facts are that I'm, given all of the circumstances, I'm still doing my best to understand them and love them. It's just, that looks the way it looks because of the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Which isn't just about me, it's about me and them.
And their feelings have to be part of this as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they feel unsafe having us in their home, so being in our home.
Right.
And that's
that
the fact that they have those feelings is something that we do have to deal with.
Right. Yeah. Which means that the end result of that thought process isn't necessarily fairies and happy ending. Right? Like it's still sad at the end for me.
It is.
That but that is, an emotion that I can feel and work through and come out on the other side and feel like a human again. As opposed to shame and guilt for something I can't change.
Yeah. So moving on to other kinds of therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy is one that we also ended up using unintentionally in evangelicalism. It was essentially, I accept where I am in life and I commit to making the best life that I can. So acceptance and commitment therapy in evangelicalism meant I accept that I'm a sinner and I commit to living the best I can in the power structures that God has ordained for me. When you take that out of evangelicalism, you stop asking, is this true, what I believe, and you start asking, what is helping me live a meaningful life? This is where I am. What can I accept about that, and what can I commit to that will help where I am now be a meaningful life? Which looks a lot less like submitting to the will of your pastor and elders, and a lot more like, where am I going to find meaning, and how do I choose to find meaning in this life that I do have now?
Right. It takes it from more of a search, like everybody talks about the search for meaning and truth and yada yada yada, and takes it more to an immediate, is this good for me right now?
Yes. How can I be present in my life?
Yeah.
Instead of fearing it.
Right. So it makes it more present in the moment.
Yes.
Instead of in your head.
Which is very grounding.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Yeah. Just asking, is this helping me? It's such simple things. That's what always kills me about it.
Yeah.
Therapeutic anything. Like, it's not like most of the time. It's usually like these really simple things.
Yeah. Very often
we overthink so much of life.
We do. And the next couple are going to be a little bit intertwined. Not that any therapies are unintertwined with one another, but the next ones are mindfulness and somatic reconnection. So mindfulness, a lot of people think of it as more relaxation. They're like, oh, so you're in your Zen garden and you're just relaxing and not worrying about anything. You're raking the sand, and we just watched Nick Offerman play in the Pout Pout Fish today, and he gets his little Zen rocks as the Pout Pout Fish, and he stacks his little Zen rocks, and he's trying to do mindfulness. He's trying. He's
getting interrupted by the mailman.
He does. But it's the training of attention to be where you are.
Anyway.
And how you are as you are in the present moment. You can label thoughts, but you don't need to get caught up in them. And you can ground through the sensory input around you, such as the Zen rocks and the sand that you are raking if you were Nick Offerman's The Pout Pout Fish. I actually thought that one was really good because he's not trying to be other than what he is. He plays a fish with a face that looks like it's always pouting, and instead of his mindfulness mantra being something like, I'm so happy,
Right.
and this is my life, and oh, it's a wonderful life. I forget how it goes, but
I think it's like you are
I have a
pout
pout pout fish and I have a pout pout face.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I'm just accepting where you are and not labeling it as good or bad.
Right.
Just accepting that that's what
It's
it is.
just what it is. What it is.
Yes. Of course, he always gets interrupted, so he never gets to finish the
Right.
whole
So we don't
pout
actually
fish,
know.
pout pout face. So we don't know how it ends.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of sad.
no, it's not. It's just what it is.
It's what it is.
You don't have to label it as that. But the mindfulness idea has to do with you are not defined by your thoughts. You are observing what they are.
Right.
Which does go hand in
My
hand.
thoughts are that it was sad.
I know. It's okay, Tess. Which has to go hand in hand with somatic reconnection or body-based healing. We talked about this a little bit in sleep. We mentioned sleep and how when you leave, your somatic system and your amygdala are disorganized and you don't know exactly what you're doing with them. You may have sleep disturbances or moments of panic, that sort of thing. But a lot of that has to do with how disembodied you have become and how disconnected you have become from your body, either while you were there or as you were leaving. And reconnection there looks like EMDR, essentially. So when you think of EMDR classically, you think about the tappers. So you have this bilateral stimulation, which helps with your neuroplasticity. So as
And I
you're
was tapping your shoulder.
as you are voicing a traumatic experience, you stop experiencing it so much in a place of terror and start experiencing it in a more embodied place. Your brain comes more to grips with it, and it can come out of that disembodied feeling that you had. So in EMDR, we use either a light pole that swaps lights from one side of your body to the other. We use tappers that are tapping either alternately or at the same time, your shoulders, your hands, your arms, something like that. But it doesn't have to be a guided meditation in an office, although those can be very helpful. It can look like yoga and breath work and hiking, which is where we have found it very helpful. Going with somebody who's
Walking and
experienced some of the same things that you have, and talking through those experiences while experiencing the bilateral stimulation of what you see on either side and the balance that you have to keep while you are hiking or walking is very helpful for processing those emotions and bringing them out of a place of terror and into a place of calm.
Yeah. Walking, man. It's good stuff.
Yes.
That's like if I could give as far as you were able, like the best advice I could give to anybody, anywhere for the rest of my life, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like just if you're not
To go back into your body.
yeah.
Because
Just-
when your mind panics, it wants to leave your body. And the more you can make your mind and your body happy with each other and interacting with each other in a healthy way, the more they're going to do that when you're panicking as well.
Well, and I think I really went through this like disembodied feeling after we left the church and just not, because you just feel that lack of, I felt that lack of meaning and purpose and direction and I didn't know what to do. You just, for me, it just felt like I didn't know what to do. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like a limbo type
Yeah.
state. And I don't know if you felt as much because you had the job. You were getting into the CNA and started doing your nursing school and stuff. But I don't know if that made a big difference or not.
Honestly, I think that the hiking was the best thing
No?
for me.
Fascinating.
Once I actually started hiking, because so much of that was either intellectual or physical. And then when I was able to listen to my textbooks while I was hiking and reconnect that brain and body, it helped a lot. I actually see a lot of somatic disorders at work. So I work for a therapy office and I also work in a neuroscience department. So every now and then we have autoimmune disorders or pseudo-seizures. I say every now and then, it's fairly regular. So a pseudo-seizure it looks like, very often, a generalized or tonic-clonic seizure, where the entire body seizes and shakes and your eyes roll back in your head and you're flailing around and everything hurts because your muscles are all activating at the same time. And it's a very dangerous thing to do because you can give yourself head trauma, but it's not like a pseudo-seizure is not a problem. A lot of people will approach a pseudo-seizure as it's not an actual problem. It's just somebody pretending to have a seizure,
Right.
which is not necessarily true. Because yes, you can see a seizure on an electroencephalogram. You can see disorganized electrical currents in the brain through some of the tests that we do, but that does not mean that what has caused your pseudo-seizure is not an actual problem. Your body is expressing itself in the only way it knows how, and it has become disconnected from your brain, usually due to a form of trauma.
Yeah.
So while hiking is great and walking is great, those are good long-term solutions for these problems. And when you are in that state of panic and full disembodiment, those don't necessarily work. You can't necessarily sit your body down and tell it, it's okay, you are safe. I will tap your shoulders and we will talk about trauma and everything will be fine. So sometimes an intentional discomfort is what it takes to help you get out of the very, very panicked mode and into a place where you can actually keep your body safe. So for some people that will look like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory expression. So you can do whichever number you want for whichever sense you want. But essentially you've got smell, sight, taste, touch, hearing, and
Smell.
I said smell.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's
I always get.
It's fine.
You get through 3 of them and I've lost. I don't know why.
Well, it doesn't always take more than 3, so you can be like, okay, I know that you're feeling very unsafe right now. I need you to look around and tell me 5 things that you can see if you're leading somebody through this. Okay, now tell me 4 things you can touch right now, or 4 textures you can feel. Tell me 3 things you can hear. Tell me 2 things you can smell. And then sometimes we could do taste if you've got like, I do this in the hospital, so sometimes we'll have toothpaste or a lemon or something like that. And
I've pissed off a lot of kids trying to get them to do this.
I know, I've pissed off a lot of people too. But it helps because
If
then
they
they're
do
pissed
it,
off at you
if they
and
do
they're
it.
back in their body. Something that I've recommended for people who don't necessarily have someone to lead that through them all the time is sour candies or having citric acid.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And keep it in your pocket. And specifically that powder, like from Sour Patch Kids, pour that under your tongue if you feel like you're becoming super disembodied, because
That's a good idea.
your body can only deal with so much discomfort before it's going to call your brain back in and be like, what the fuck are we doing here? I need you.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I have to buy some warheads for school this summer.
It's surprisingly helpful.
Eat this. You can spit it out in a second. Just suck on it real quick. No, that's funny.
Yep.
Cold showers can be nice for me. I like cold showers.
Everybody likes something different.
Yeah. I sometimes I don't like cold showers. To be very clear.
Cold showers make my bones hurt
Yeah.
because I have arthritis.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. So practical healing strategies for coming out of this. Support systems. Therapy. Peer groups of people who have come through some of the same things as you have. Online communities can be very helpful. You don't necessarily have to see them in panic on the street, which can feel a lot safer. Facebook has these, Discord has these, any podcast that you listen to that has a decent following may end up having some of these. And that helps accelerate healing while building some safe social connections, safer than the ones that you've come from.
Right.
Which is very helpful. And if you're not up for doing any of that in a way that you have to interact with people who came out of the same place, just finding something you like a job that you enjoy, that you can get along with your coworkers and you can talk to them and it does not have to be about religion, or a trivia group, or join a rock climbing gym, or something that is new to you, has a mind-body connection, somewhere where you feel safe and that you can start rebuilding social connections at a pace which feels comfortable. Creative expression can also be super helpful. Journaling can help. Music, if you're a musician. For me, music has not been a super helpful way because so much of my music was always predicated on religion. So creating music has not felt like a super healthy or safe thing for me.
Yeah.
But drawing, storytelling, designing things, even coloring books or going to one of those paint your own pottery pieces things. Something where you feel like you are contributing something, at least to your own environment, that you had a hand in and did voluntarily and not at the behest of a religious group. Gardening's a good one.
I've been thinking about trying to like reframe my writing because I had the same problem with writing that you have with music. So it was
so religious.
So religious, yeah. Which is fascinating, but true. And I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out, but it was an interesting realization. Like, oh, I haven't been able to do this because it always had to be spiritual or religiously motivated.
Or for the glory of God.
Yeah, there was some writing I did that was just academic, right? And that was probably the best writing I got to do as a younger me, but the sample size is so much smaller.
Well, and what these things are doing is helping you reconstruct your identity, building off things that you may have done before or may have just always wanted to try, and figuring out what you actually like, what actually works for you, what makes you feel grounded, and what makes you feel safe.
Yeah.
Because you're moving to an internal from an external locus of control over yourself, your activities, and what you find meaningful in life, which can be very difficult. So you have to start with baby steps on that one.
For sure.
Physical fitness has been a very helpful one for us. And I know a lot of people have varying thoughts on this one, but when it really comes right down to it, improving your diet and your physicality will reduce your stress hormones like cortisol. It will improve your sleep. It will help regulate your dopamine and other neuroregulators, and it will help improve self-efficacy. You're proving to your body and to yourself what you are capable of doing.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. Proving to my body. That's why walking was such a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Because like I just like I was just at that point like I'm never gonna do anything again. I think because I don't know how to do anything. I don't think I think I failed at everything. I don't like those were thoughts that were not far off at any moment in time. But then just like I can go for a walk and complete it, right? Like just like you're accomplishing something by making it around the block or making it a mile or whatever place you're at.
But you've done something. And you've gotten outside. And that has given your body and your mind a chance to reconnect, a chance to feel safe, a chance to show that they're capable.
It's a big deal.
It is.
Well, and you can build on it, like you can then, if I can go around the block every day, I could maybe do a workout routine. Right? Like you start to convince yourself, I can do things because you can. Like that's not in question, if you ask me. It's just a matter of figuring that out and taking the little steps you need to take to teach yourself that.
And to continue to teach yourself that.
Oh yeah, it doesn't ever stop.
It does not.
Yeah. Some days are harder than others.
Yeah. So the shift here has to be that leaving such a highly structured and highly controlled belief system is not where meaning ends. It's where you start to decide what meaning is for you and what ethics are and what morality is for you and what independence looks like and how to achieve it, as well as how to be honest, both with others and with yourself. So the reframe there is not necessarily I lost my faith, or I lost my life, or I lost my connection, or I lost. It has to be something more along the lines of I stopped outsourcing my life's meaning.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm in charge now. I'm deciding where this ship goes.
And it's going to be a continuing struggle every now and then.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also going to go in cycles. There's always the grief, there's the relief, there's the anger, there's some peace, there's clarity sometimes, there's confusion sometimes, there's going to be transient hopelessness or helplessness. But if you are using your therapy, using your meaning-making devices that you've already made for yourself, and trying some new ones, then you should be able to calm that cycle and find meaning in your life.
For sure. Yeah. Well, and find that thing, that locus of, I'm the one making these decisions about how I treat people and how I treat myself, and whether this is helpful for me or not helpful for me. Right? And trying to pull that locus into your own being, and instead of wherever it was coming from before.
Harder than it sounds.
It is, yeah, for sure. And it takes those eating a warhead, or going for a walk, or taking a cold shower,
or all of the above,
or all of
the case may be.
Right. Like it's an intentional thing for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to
takes
learn and grow.
Finding grounding, finding joy, and finding growth. Yeah. In your own ways, and not the ways that you were trained to think were the only acceptable ones.
Right. And your way is going to be your way. Like, you might not like walking. I think you're crazy. No.
Yeah.
But there's, that doesn't mean there's not something you can find you like to do that can bring you back to your body and make you feel like you're accomplishing something.
Bring you joy and connection. I
just say don't bite off more than you can chew. Right?
Oh, no.
Start with a small, whatever it is.
You have to do, it's called habit stacking.
Yes.
So yes, you are making a whole new life. But let's not do the whole thing right now. Let's do one thing today that you will definitely be able to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the next day. And the next day.
Right.
And when that is your life, and you can't imagine anything different, then you can put in another thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
As long as you can still do the first thing, and you know that this new thing you're going to be able to do today, and the next day, and the next day.
And what I think of when I think of it means something I know I can do is I can't be getting burnt out just thinking about it.
Yes.
Right? If you're getting burnt out just thinking about it, that's not the thing. Maybe you're on the right track. You just need to do like a more baby step towards that thing, or you just need to find an easier thing.
Like, I can't become a professional weightlifter,
Right.
but I can do 10 bicep curls today and 10
Right.
bicep curls tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
Start easy.
Very easy.
Stack from there.
Yeah. Pretty soon you'll be doing 30 bicep curls.
You never know.
Yeah.
I did write a closing paragraph for this series.
Oh my goodness.
I did want to give a disclaimer that the podcast is not going anywhere. We still plan to record. We are just wrapping up the where are we now and how did we get here arc that we have been doing. We do have some plans for what to do next. The power and control wheel, specifically.
Oh, she's just gonna give them away. Just like that.
It's okay. I'm not keeping secrets. I don't care enough. If we don't do that, we'll do something else. Either way, it'll be fun and sustainable. Are you ready for the closing paragraph? Okay.
Let's do it.
So, where are we now and how did we get here? We arrived through systems that tried to answer too much too definitively about identity, morality, belonging, and certainty. And over time, many of those answers stopped fitting lived experiences. What replaced them wasn't emptiness so much as space. A space to notice what's actually true in the body, in relationships, and in daily life without constant external interpretation. The path here has included rupture, grief, relief, and rebuilding all at once, but it has also revealed something steady underneath it all. The capacity to adapt, to reflect, and to choose what kind of life feels honest and sustainable. However each person names it, this moment is not an end point, but a transition into a more self-authored way of being, where meaning is something we practice, rather than something we are simply told. Short and sweet.
And I'm not selfish.
You are probably.
Nailed it.
So, from all of us here at Shun for Good Reason, thank you for joining us, and good night. We're gonna go for a walk.
Again?
I just don't think we walked enough today. I'm only at 19,774 steps, Tess.
That's all.
I think there's more that we can do here.
Slacker.